Hey everyone, Lensman Oz here, and welcome to another early access first look game. This time, it's Computer Tycoon. So I was fortunate enough to be given a key for this game. And so far I'm loving the look of it. It's difficult. I've played it once and did fairly badly and ran out of money. But yeah, so pretty much it's a management game. So Tycoon and any of your Tycoon games are fairly similar in terms of you are focusing on a particular thing. So in this case, you're building computers and selling computers. So it's created by one person, and I'm honestly not gonna try and say the person's name. To me, it could be András, it could be András. But the company that he goes by is Progorion, and literally this has just come out of alpha, or it is an alpha build, and you can see there in the bottom corner. It's an early access version 9.1.14. He's literally releasing patches every day. It was released on the 12th of October. And pretty much he wanted to release it in memory of Steve Jobs. So the idea behind the game is that you progress through from the 70s through to I think it's 2034. And yeah, we'll get into a game in a second. But the description is indie business strategy game about computer evolution. Start your company in the 70s, invent until 2034. Create the best hardware and operating system, upgrade your infrastructure, and handle your marketing. Promote games, rule the global market, and become an immortal. But pretty much all the links you'll need for the game are in the description below, including a link to the developer's YouTube channel and his Patreon page, and any other links, the Steam store. All that should be down in the description. Please support this guy. It's a fantastic game. It got nominated for a Game Development Award on IndieDB. And yeah, so we'll get into it. I'll set up a new game here. So you give yourself a name and all that sort of stuff. Lens, just, Lens Incorporated. You can get bonuses here. Cheaper for you. Scientist, factory workers, or commercial expansion on the map. I failed because I ran out of money, so I don't know. Maybe production. Maybe production would be a good one. I'm actually going to put it in beginner, and I don't want a random world. I don't want a random world. Maybe you can't. Maybe it hasn't been implemented yet. No, so it mustn't be implemented yet. There is a mode, I believe, that allows you to just play the actual world. So in terms of this, the world will be randomized, including populations. So let's hit start. All right, here we go. So as it says here, it's random mode where all of the current post-Soviet, post-Yugoslav, Czechoslovak countries exist in the 70s, so all of you can enjoy your own countries in this mode. Not like in the historical mode, and every country has algorithmically, I'm not even going to try and say that again, generated population and economical data that increases replayability. Start slowly, don't build and expand too fast, and always have savings or you will get bankrupt after 1 year having a negative balance. That's what happened to me. Recommendation: read the tooltips above the GUI and the question marks. Buy 2 countries. Build your first site in a poor or average country. Create a new computer model, fill it with hardware, and start selling. Build a factory and launch the time. Expand slowly, keep in mind you can have 7 building sites. So what happened to me is I got started, and here's links to Twitter handles to developer. I got started in my playthrough Let's see if I can move the world here a little bit. No, doesn't want to move for me. Anyway, I tried to select. Why won't you move? I tried to select. I think it was one of the countries down here. Indonesia costs a lot of money to start. So you can see here it's 2 mil. I've got 15 mil. That's 12 million. So actually Indonesia's pretty cheap. What do we got here? Malaysia's 600,000 to start, but the wealth is poverty. There's 7.8 million people. So one of the things I found when I was playing, it had like New Zealand had more people in it than China. So as I said, as it said in the start there, the everything's randomized, and yeah, it can be some weird numbers. So here we've got 900 million people, and China's only got 100 million, where America has 1.1 billion. So there's some definite numbers that are just out there. Australia certainly doesn't have 129 million people in it, and the wealth is not poverty, even in the 70s. So yeah, it's something to get into, is selecting a country. So I'm just going to go through and find somewhere to set up, build in Antarctica, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I think I'm going to start in the Philippines. I did find out that Cambodia apparently is free to set up in, but there's only 700,000 people there, so we've got 7.2 million in the Philippines. We'll buy here. Yes. Alright, let's jump into here. Yes, we're going to establish an industrial site. So we're still on pause. So one of the first things you need to do is actually build a computer. So you can see here there's nothing available. So let's build a new computer. It's going to be a home computer. And then each of these things is stuff that we can add to a computer. So in the case of this memory, we click the thing, we don't have any memory. So we actually need to create a new part. So we can click memory, we can give it some details. And this thing here is very large scale implementation or something like that. So it's pretty much, it costs a little bit less to manufacture in general. You can tweak this a little bit, and it does chunk around with your cost, but we've got 100% performance here compared to the industry standard. So this is just regular RAM. You can give it a new name, so you can remember it. So we can just call it just RAM 1. I know it's really imaginative there, and then you can add it to the computer. So you've now got RAM 1, we can go CPU, let's create a new CPU, yep. Okay, so we've only got the 4040 CPU, which is basically a calculator, for any of you who remember lower end stuff. So you can see the difference in price down the bottom there. We're not going to be doing anything more than anyone else. So let's just get this to the top of the 0% and leave performance on 7. And we're going to call this the calculator CPU. There was a little bit of a bug with this box, which the developer has fixed just today for this in this latest update. So add that to the computer. So we now have RAM and CPU. It's going to need a power supply, so let's create a new power supply. Nothing really exciting. Power adapter, pretty terrible quality. It's only going to cost $57. I don't think this is going to do much. No, not really. So let's create that. Oh, I just called it Power 01, that's fine. Add that. Motherboard, we need to make a new motherboard. We'll give it everything. Quality's pretty terrible. Features are pretty terrible. No matter what I do, I'm not going to get much more in there. Let's create it. And I know, I know. Names aren't a big issue. We've got accessories, but we can add a printer. So anything like there's joysticks and keyboards and stuff. Once you research them, you can add them as accessories. So this one has the printer as an accessory. Input, new input. There's no input devices yet, so we can't do anything on that front. And that's a bug I've found so far. Is occasionally if you click all the way out, it doesn't quite go where you want it to go. Add to computer, power supply, motherboard, operating system. I don't think there's anything really exciting in the way of operating systems, just an opcode. And we're going to call this not Windows 1. Add that to the computer. Don't know what we got in the way of displays. Let's have a look. Display is just like little blinking indicator lights. We'll go with that. We'll call this blinky lights. Add that. Storage. Really sorry about having to cut the video occasionally here. Still have a bit of a cough. Storage. I mean, we probably could have kept it, so let's just keep its name, storage 1. Fine. Add that to the computer. In terms of input, I think I said there's nothing for input. There's no video yet, because if you go in here and go new, you've only got certain items you can do. There's no GPU and no input devices yet. Alright, so cool. We are all good here. This is everything we've got. You can give it a price. It's going to cost us $1,075 per unit to build. They're recommending $2,150 to sell it. I'm just going to put in a price of $2,000. Sweet. Now, next thing you can do is create a prototype, and it will test and polish the...
Your new computer model went into the testing phase.
Yep. So for 30 days, which we're paused at the moment, for 30 days it will test and polish. So we can click this button up here. There was a small bug where when you were typing things in for names and that, it was actually changing the speed up here. So you can see when I hovered over it there, you go space. So every time you push space, it would pause, and if you use the number pad, it was changing the speed of the game, which was unfortunate. But he's fixed that now. So we're going to get this tested and polished. We can't actually make it yet. So let's... I don't really want to... Let's I'm going to market it. I'm just going to wait and market it, because if I close this window, we're probably going to lose everything on here. So let's just finish this up. It does say here, bring your computer to the market. With this button, you can skip the prototype testing and polishing period as well. You can keep one product only for 5 years on the market. So basically, you
Your
really
new
need
computer model is polished.
you need to get it on the market and selling. All right, so we do have a computer now. We have the My Home computer. I could have given it a name, but yeah. So now actually we need to build it. We need the demanded production power of 13,981. So we're going to need a factory. So a factory requires nothing. It can produce 10,000. So we're not even going to actually produce enough to make this run. It's going to cost me 100,000. Upkeep is 1,000, I'm guessing, per month. Anyway, let's get this going. The office. Yep, we'll put an office in. A lab is where we can research stuff. So let's just get our first level. Marketing, logistics, because we're going to need to get it out, and then recreation, because people need to be entertained. I'll build this as well. Right, so here's our plant. This will actually, as it starts to build, you'll see things starting to build over here. But as you can see, we don't have the ability to make what we need. We're going to need a second country soon. And as the tip at the start said, start with 2 countries. So at the moment, it's only costing us 33. I don't know whether that's per day, per month, per what? Per day, probably. Yeah, so this is our Computer Tycoon dollars. And it costs 33 per day. Yeah, probably. So things are building. This should be... Factory is almost done.
Your building upgrade has completed. Your research queue is empty.
We now have the ability to produce 10,000. So as it says here, you hover over it. If your computer costs 100 pp and you have it here, 1,000, it means that you can make 10 computers on a single day. So we needed 13,981 production power. We've only got 10, so we actually don't have enough production power still. Probably we'll just upgrade this straight away to a number 2. And just wear the cost at the moment. But the next thing we need to start looking into, and we'll get time going again because we'll start selling computers. Let's have a look on the computer here. We've sold 296 of them at $2 a pop. So we should be getting a few things in. What we need to be doing is researching new technology though. And this has changed a little since I last played. And I literally only played 2 days ago for the first go. So this is all the current technology we have. Everything that's in this list is everything we already know. If we want some new tech, we need to push the new button. And then it tells you how much...
Your research queue is empty.
I know my research queue is empty. It tells you how many research points it's going to take to make each thing. So tape drive here will only cost 20 research points. We're currently producing 1. So if we add this to the queue, it will start creating, and you'll see this number going up. It'll start creating the item. It'll start researching the item.
Your building upgrade has completed.
We've got keyboard here for 55, so we may as well add that to the queue. Maybe. Keyboard. Add. There we go. And then, you know, obviously you want the best computer around. I mean, for 132 research points, we're getting 2 4040s integrated together, but it's a big improvement. So we'll add that to the queue as well. And generally what I did in my previous playthrough was just go through and start grabbing the low, you know, all the small stuff, small to large, and just start bang, 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 add it to the queue. Obviously you're not going to release a computer every time you get a single upgrade. You're probably going to give it a little bit of time. Grab something big. So like this CPU, that's actually quite a decent addition. So you'd bring out a new computer with a new CPU. We'll put more on the chip. Or is that fast chip? So we can go the 10 micrometers or micro whatever it is. So
you have researched a new technology.
So we now have tape drives we can add to a new computer. Keyboards will start working now. As you research things, you'll actually get stuff given to you. So this one here, we can now make a floppy drive. It's not going to cost us any research points. So if I move this up to here, as soon as keyboard's done, we'll get a floppy drive. So gone from tape drive to floppy drive for almost nothing. But yeah, for any of you who remember the old Commodore 64 or the and the tape drive that went along with it, and you used to be able to back up all your programs to a tape, load your games off a tape. You'd have to fast forward it to the spot you want, and yeah, loads of fun for anyone who's old enough to be me. But yeah, so this is, you know, it's a pretty in-depth game. Like, there's lots of stuff that you need to be able to do. So we're currently, I think we are making money. I do believe there are stats. So the budget, we're a little bit behind. I don't know if that's, so site upkeep, construction. So maybe if we ditch out construction, we're actually all right. But sales, we've made 1,738 sales, I guess. We've only got Philippines as a customer. Yeah, so yeah, you have to do this. So pretty much, you can die in this game. As it says, your chance to die in a year of 0.128%. So you can get bodyguards. Once you get big enough, you may want to, extend your life somehow. But yeah, lots of bits and pieces. You can do marketing, so we can sell more product. More things. I wanna advertise. We'll call it Ad 1, and start that. So we're advertising to try and sell some more products. Obviously, as I said before, as you research stuff, make a new computer. Start selling that computer. It will always suggest the price that you need. Once you think you're big enough, look, you've got some competitors here now. Once you think you're big enough, grab another location. And for some reason, I can't move on this map anymore, so it's a little bit odd. I was able to move around on the map the other day, but guess not today. Whoop, not what I want. Go to sites, go to the Philippines. So yeah, basically most of your stuff is done at this level. But yeah, if you like the look of this game and you're into that in-depth thing, you can see how much different hardware and stuff is available in this. Go and check it out on Steam. As I said, link below, and links to the YouTube channel and Patreon, as I said, of the developer. Go and check it out. It's an awesome game, and I'm hoping to one day be able to get through an entire life cycle. I got up to having a monitor, and I think it was I didn't even get up to an 8086 chip. It was terrible. I was still in the old calculator processes, basically. I didn't even have a hard drive.
You have researched a new technology.
And again.
You have researched a new technology.
And yeah, so slowly we'll research new bits and pieces. Look, see, here's joystick and gun controller and fax machine. But yeah, definitely a lot of cool stuff in here, and very well done in terms of depth. So, as I said, go and check it out. And I hope you enjoyed the first look into this game. Leave your comments in the description, in the area below. Links in the description. Catch you in the next one.